welcome back to another New World video. This time we are back with some more PvE dungeon guides, some faster paced guides, and updated for 2023, as some bits and bobs of mechanics might have slightly updated and changed with some patches over the past couple of months. I'm going to try my best, as requested in the comment section down below, to keep these videos sort of in and around 15 minutes, give or take, or shorter for some of the shorter dungeons. We're going to kick off with Ennead, since that seems to be the one that most people tend to struggle with, especially when it comes to mutators. These will be a generic guide that you can take over into mutations, apart from the obviously mutation specific like circles and stuff like that. But in general, the whole run guide, it will work. I'll mention everything I can, but like I say, it'll be faster paced. So if you need a longer paced guide, just check my video and my video list, and you should be able to see them all in there. The longer ones, 45 minutes long, stuff like that. But yeah, if you like all this kind of content, like, subscribe, check me out on Twitch, and yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoy the video. Right, welcome into the Ennead guide. We're going to be leading this as a tank as well, so good tanker POV here. As soon as you enter these doors, you want to clock the archer on the right and the left of this big central pillar. The archer that's closest to you is where you're going to run and pull all the mobs to, and start off there. Then you'll work around to the left hand side of the central pillar, or right, depending on which side your archer's closest, and then take out that archer. Ours moved a little bit closer to the boss there, but we made sure. You'll then pop over to one of the sides, so it doesn't matter if you go left side of the whole room or right side of the whole room. You're just going to kill the couple mobs that are there. When you get to this right hand side of the room, you're going to aim for the automation mob first. That one has a bit of a tricky mechanic where it sort of zaps away. Best thing to do here is stamina bar. Make sure you get that down as quick as you can. Make sure all DPS jumps on that mini boss straight away. When we get to this boss here, Shy, big heavy attacks going in with the Warhammer. Try and sort of keep hold of all the aggro as the tank, you should see here. Now, one thing you can do is if they separate, when he does that little zap mechanic, again, tank, keep all the aggro, DPS jumps straight on him, and you should be good. But watch out for that zap. If you see the zap coming from Shy, make sure you roll away or block, or that could sort of one-tap you down. We then head into this next corridor. You're going to pull all the mobs that you can see here on the screen down towards the bottom of the corridor, and we should zoom through there. There you go. Once you get to these stairs, that way the archers are blocked and pull around the corner. Fight them at the bottom of the stairs. You're going to come to the top of the stairs. Nothing crazy here, just a couple of mobs, so I'm not going to go too into depth for just smaller mobs. You should see 2 archers and a few more there. Now we come to the top of the stairs. You've got a couple different strategies here. One of the easiest ones that we found is just gather all the mobs up at the top here, run to the back so all the fire is coming towards the tank, and then the DPS can just sort of pop in and out and do as maximum damage as possible. But it's just a bunch of archers, so just always watch out for the backstabs from those archers and you should be fine. Moving on to this next room, you've got 2 panthers that are going to spawn here, or cougars, whatever you want to call them. I like to just grab the aggro using the shockwave, and we're going to head straight down for the automation again. All these automations have the same sort of mechanics. Big zap attacks, so just watch out for those. And obviously lightning beams that come out of his chest, that's when you know he's going to do his sort of zap, a boom attack, I don't know what you want to call that. Take all those mobs out. As we come down here, you got a couple of these scarabs. You just want to pull them together and take them all out. Really easy mobs to kill there. Now, watch out for this room now as we're going into this corridor. See the red circle? That red circle will activate those ancient mobs that you can see there on the corners. See that we're just walking past now. If you go inside the red circle, sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, it floats around. It'll put a beam on you anyway, and it'll activate those mobs. You do not want to go inside the red circle. You want to wait until it rotates around. Take out this big automation as soon as you walk through the door there. It's got some big heavy attacks, but again, nothing too crazy. Most of the mobs in this have the same mechanics. You've now got, again, another automation. This is where you need to be careful. In my experience, you take out the dog boss first, and then you take out the automation. Same here. You got Fetket. Make sure you take out the dog boss first. That's the easiest one to DPS. Tank, keep hold of Fetket, and watch out for that sort of zapping animation that he does. At that point, you need to knock him down with stamina damage, big heavy attacks, or shock waves, or anything that stuns the mobs. That'll help a lot there. Move on into the next room. Before you go up the big stairs to the left, you're going to take out this boss here. It's called Apis. I'm going to say bosses or name mobs, same thing. These are name mobs really, not bosses. But again, nothing crazy here. All of these have got stamina bars. If you're struggling with DPS and you're not taking down as fast as we are, you just want to be doing big heavy attacks, shockwave attacks, all that kind of stuff, and you should be good. Don't forget the gatherable. And then once we come up here, same scenario again. As you can see dotted around the room, you got some of those ancient mobs that are all asleep. If you go inside that red circle, you'll activate them, and they are tougher mobs tougher mobs to fight. So we're going to come up here. We have an archer mini boss, Horon, I believe is how you pronounce it. And then again, another automation. The automation is the easiest one to DPS, but again, it has that zap attack. So you're going to have to watch out for when he sort of charges that up. So best thing to do is DPS down as fast as you can, then onto the archer boss. Now, first actual boss of the Ennead dungeon. This is the big Scarab boss. As you can see here, I'm going to try and jump straight behind him. Couple of different mechanics here. So he's going to have, as you can see, big heavy attacks coming in there, big swipes. You need to be careful. In the background, you can see sort of yellow light, sort of lightning spaces on the floor. Don't stand in there, you'll get burns. This boss, at least on 3 occasions, depending on how fast your DPS is, will do big slam attacks. When these beams come on, they'll normally affect 2 or 3 players. If you get those beams on you, just run around one of those pillars that you can see in the corners just to get rid of the line. Once the line is removed, that should stop the zap until a couple more seconds later, and then it activates. Big heavy attacks coming in from this Scarab boss, and here again, just coming in with a big sort of a mixture of sort of like lightning beams that are coming onto you, and then the fire circles on the floor. Simple as this, just don't stand in them. If you get those lightning beams on you, again, just run around the circles, sorry, the corners where the pillars are, and you should be good. Watch out for the big heavy attacks on the Scarab. Make sure you're not standing anywhere near him when he's doing those heavy attacks, because the shockwave is quite big. And then just DPS from the back as normal. And here is where we are now going to change into our corruption gear. So everything up until this point, you're going to be in ancient gear. Now, for the middle third of the dungeon, we're going to move into our corruption gear. Corruption Ward, Corruption Bane, and obviously if you're changing your gear, be careful of your attributes as well. You might want to change those back. Head for the teleport, and now we're into all the corruption mobs. We're going to start off with the troll and the 2 minis. On the left, you've got a gatherable, so don't forget that if you need it. Very, very simple here, so nothing much to explain. Keep the aggro. It's a big heavy troll. He does big strike damage, so just be careful. You're going to head up these stairs. You got a gatherable in the background and just 3 mobs. The signifier tends to empower people around them, so always try and take out the signifiers first. You got an archer and then a spear and a shield guy, so nothing crazy, just take out these 3 mobs. And now we're going to head over to the other side that we've not done so far. So if you're in the normal mode, you got some chests here as well. 3 mobs, nice and easy, take these out. Again, I'm going to skip over some bits that are just simple mobs with not much mechanics. You need 3 people to open this door, as you've seen in the past. Now here we go. We're going to follow this route that we're taking now. You want to stay out of that circle again that you can see moving around. We're going to come back for this gatherable later, so don't worry about that now. It's just about grabbing aggro and then running around in this rotation that you see. So we're going to pick up all these mobs that we see now. Just bend around this corner. If you've got a healer or somebody with a throwing axe, or I doubt you take a bow, you'd pull in those mobs in the background. You pull them down the stairs. Wait until as many mobs as possible hit that corner. Then just start knocking them down. As you can see, some fire damage on the floor there. That's from the archers. But once you've sort of got control of all the melees, I'd advise the tank to go up and grab the archer and then sort of pull those ranged attacks away, because they can do some decent fire damage on the floor. You're just going to wipe out these mobs. Nothing too much there. Now, I mean, here you've got the signifier on the right. That's going to have a red circle, which is going to empower the mobs around it. So in my suggestion is the tank, you can just pull Pluto, this sort of mini boss here, away from signifier so it doesn't get empowered, and then you can take the aggro of the mob next to him as well, the little legion, and basically just keep all the slam and heavy attacks coming towards you, the tank, and all the DPS just stay behind, and you should be good. We're going to head back up to the stairs now, but this time we're going to take a left turn. In fact, in my original long sort of winded guide, we actually missed coming down here for Pluto, so I made sure to include it in this fast-paced guide now. We're going to head left, watching out for that red circle. There's going to be another red circle patrolling these floors up here. So we have to just wait there for it to go back. So it's going to go forward and backwards up this hall. Again, you do not want to go in the red circle. You're going to pull these sort of sleeping mobs. Once you come up here, you've got a handful of mobs. You've got an archer in the corner. Always be careful of the archer. Again, pull them all in centrally. If you've got a Gravwell here, or anybody using the great sword as well, you can pull in those mobs. Get rid of them. And again, back down the stairs, making sure we stay outside of that red circle so we don't pull any of those mobs. Again, that over there, we're going to go back for later. Don't forget. That's the extra gatherable. We're going to head round this corner. You're going to hit the archer first. If you can get the archer dead without pulling Lucius, the mini boss, then that's the most advantageous thing to do. If not, tank is going to jump straight onto Lucius and pull him facing the opposite direction. You have to watch out for this corner now in the background. As you can see, somebody was a little bit slow coming in, so they've been in the original red patrolling circle, which has now pulled some of those ancient mobs off the walls. So now we're going to fight some of those as well. As you can see, patrolling around there. Once we got rid of those, go and collect that gatherable that we mentioned just earlier on, and then you're going to kill those 2 ancient mobs. Now, we're on to the corruption boss. This one is a little bit tricky if you've never done it before, and depending on how much DPS, depends on what you're going to do. The lower the DPS means you're basically going to put all the DPS on the ads, and basically don't focus on the tank too much. Who's going to be taking away the big boss here, the General Crassus. As you can see, another red circle, that's coming from the signifiers, so you want to try and kill the signifiers first, or they're going to empower all of the other mobs inside of the red circle. You can see the empower logo there above it, black, see it, the fist sign, the black and white fist sign. That means that the mob is empowered, which means they're doing more damage to you. So best strat is to pull all of the mobs outside of the red circle and kill the signifiers, so then the red circles sort of end. There's going to be a handful of mobs spawning at either side, so if you call this south that we're looking at now, and then north, you're going to get a bunch of mobs spawning. The boss has got a handful of different mechanics. What I would suggest is, if you're a light DPS, be careful, or switch to ranged if you want, if you're a bit struggling, because this guy does do some heavy spear attacks. He's got loads of arrow attacks, which are very similar to the actual player arrow attacks, like the dodge, back, and fire. He's got some rain of arrows as well, which he fires up in the air and it spits all the fire on the floor. Basically, what you need to be careful of here is fire damage and void damage. This boss does void damage. If you've got a couple of pieces of gear, or you've got an amulet maybe on it with some void resistance, I'd advise equipping that as well. Any kind of fire resistance, feel free as well. In your mutations, you'll obviously have to have what you need for these as well. Boss eventually, once you get down to sort of 3.5 to 4 bars, is now going to go into the final phase, where he's going to spawn the 2 Cyclops, as you can see here. Best strat you've got is tank takes the aggro of all 3, so the boss and the 2 Cyclops. The boss won't move too much, he'll kind of stay ranged, and then you can pull the Cyclops away from the DPS so they don't take any damage whatsoever. The boss will still be range attacking the tank, so you're going to manage your stamina, full heals on the tank. We lose aggro of 1, as you can see, because this is what will happen if you don't do this strat. The Cyclops will probably just take out all the DPS. So basically, you are kiting the Cyclops and the boss, whilst all the DPS just backstab the boss. So yeah, you know what to do there. Now, back into Ancient, okay? So this is the final third of Ennead now. So you've gone from Ancient at the start, Corruption in the middle, and now back to Ancient again. So don't forget to change your attributes if you have to. If your gear has got different attributes on it as you switch. Don't forget your different pots as well for your weapons if you need it. Now you're going to take out these 2 little mini mobs here, and just around the corner is another gatherable. I'll just show you on screen now. There you go, gatherable in the corner there. What should I say, in the center? Stay out the red circle. Once you kill those 2 mobs, you want to head straight down this left hand side. This is the best strat we've ever had in terms of, like, it's just quicker, it's easier. DPS and heal just needs to watch out for this first big slam attack coming in. There you go, from the mini boss here, and essentially just do as much DPS knockdowns as you possibly can. Sunder and shockwave, you know, simple skills like that, as much like sweep, all these kind of enfeebling skew with the speeds if you got as well. And basically, if you're pulling them all into this corner like I am as the tank here, I never seem to die in this scenario, even in mutation 10s. And essentially the DPS can just move out of that initial hit and then do all the backstab damage. Now we go on to the final boss. You might want a bit of fire resistance in here as well, don't forget. And obviously all of your ancient gear should be equipped now. There are 4 pillars in this room. If you want to call it bottom left, bottom right, top left, doesn't really matter. Everybody apart from the tank is going to designate one of those pillars to each player. The tank doesn't need to get one. The tank only needs to pick up a pillar if one person double dies. You're going to enter here in the first phase. You're going to be fighting, I'm just going to call them Dog Boss and Bird Boss. It's easier to explain rather than giving you the names. But Anpu is going to be Dog Boss. He's got that big line of, see that big attack there? You have to watch out for that. He's going to initially start off with those. He's also going to have a lot of sort of mini AoE attacks, big bash attacks, all that kind of stuff, as you can see here. Best strat here is if obviously all 4 players other than the tank go ranged. It's just a lot easier. You got throwing hatchets or bows, stuff like that. Musket if you really want to. And basically attack from a distance, but be careful. Whoever is stood the furthest away, once you get down to, I think it's 4.5, there you go, into that 4.5 bar, he's going to then charge this big fire attack to whoever's stood furthest away. So whoever's furthest away should be stood behind one of these corner pillars. Can you see there's 4 pillars? So ideally, if you're all stacked up next to each other, if you look at Zio and Miss J in the background, for example, if let's say Zio was furthest away, we would all know which direction he's going in, and Zaya would just stand behind one of those pillars and DPS through it. Then that way it creates a shorter sort of line of fire on the floor. Again, once you get down to that sort of 2.5 to 3 bars, he's going to do another line of fire attack again. And as you can see, went for the healer this time, who was furthest away. Healer stands behind that pillar, he bashes into it, and it's all good. Big AoE attacks here, so always look out for those. Now we move on to the bird boss, who's called Heru. Now, what I like to do here, all 4 players, as you can see, the DPS and the healers are stood on their 4 pillars getting ready, which we'll explain in a minute. Now, I like to face the Heru this direction to start off with, because then everybody gets backstab damage with their throwing hatchet or life staff or bows, whatever they're using. Then eventually, once you get down to sort of, as you can see here now, into that 4 bars of damage gone, Heru's now going to go into the center and then start activating the 4 pillars. This is why all 4 players need to be on the corners of the pillars. So then they can just press E on them and then deactivate them. You have to do that roughly around the same time. The longer that takes you to do, even if you just leave 1 pillow, it's going to do like a big heavy attack of fire on the floor. So that's going to tap you. You can dodge through it if you time it correctly, like I tried to do before and just about missed out. You're going to go back to DPS again. There's loads of little mini attacks that he's going to see, as you can see, floating around now. Just don't stand in any of those. That's quite simple. These beam attacks that you see here, these make a really loud noise as well. Stay out of those. Do not stand in those. They're going to do a lot of damage. Then again, he's down into 3 bars now, as you can see. And he's going to activate the pillars for a second time. Here's where there's a mini little trick to do. Everyone's known about this mini trick for a while. You want to make sure your healer applies the Bile Bomb and the Scream skill, just coming in just as he dies there. You see the healer comes in at the back, applies Bile Bomb and Scream. Now, what happens in this final phase is Anpu resurrects with 4.5 bars. We can see Heru in the top left corner there, 2.5 bars of health, which means Heru doesn't go for that extra go on the pillars. Now, Heru looks like he's going for the pillars, but he actually doesn't. So long as you hit the Scream and the Bile Bomb just before Heru dies the first time, he'll spawn back with 2.5 bars, and he'll do the animation as if he's doing the pillars, but he actually doesn't. So all the mechanics we explained with Anpu, he's going to try and do these now at the same time. Same with Heru, all these kind of beams you want to stay out of. Loads of fire damage on the floor, so be careful here. And the last sort of mechanic you need to be aware of is you need to kill these 2 bosses around about the same time. I think you've got 5 to 10 seconds for when one goes down and then the second one goes down. If you don't, he'll revive and then it keeps going on and on and on, and then you'll probably fail your timings and stuff like that. So there we go, guys. That is the fast-paced, up-to-date guide for Ennead. There we go, guys. As promised, an up-to-date 2023 guide of Ennead. Now, that was very fast-paced compared to my normal guides, but that's what the comment section was asking for. It seems to be 50-50. Some of you like the long, sort of like just a pure run. I won't skip anything, and I'll just sort of commentate over it. A lot of you like that. We have like 98% of likes on all of our videos, but there are a handful of people out there who literally open up the video and go, bro, 45-minute video, nobody's watching this. Although some of those videos got like 50k views on it, which is really, really good. So guys, hopefully you like this video. If it was a bit too fast-paced for you, you need a longer winded version, again, just subscribe to my channel, go through the videos, you should be able to see them on there. But hopefully the fast-paced guide 2023 version was helpful for you. Sorry, I can't really speak at the minute. But guys, again, subscribe, like, comment down below, all that kind of things. And if you want to be an absolute legend, like so many of you are, my view count's going up through the roof at the minute on Twitch, which I really do appreciate. Come and check me out on Twitch, and I'll see you over there, and you can see us do some live gameplay.